Okay, screw Cam Studio first. This is the fourth time I've tried and it's failed every other time, so this time I'm just going to use Audacity and record my voice and put some random stuff over it. So hello everyone, for the fourth time. I decided to do a question and answer thing about 5 days ago according to YouTube, so I decided to answer them now in this video. This is really annoying me, so I'm going to get straight to the point. I've had some very good questions, very good pictures, so thank you everyone for all of them. But let's have a look at them. Firstly, I'm going to answer one which I've already answered, which is Dash Gordon's 124 saying, "My question, what the hell is the name of that first song? I must have it." The answer to that is it's a piece called Autumn Wrap Up, which I wrote back when I did a competition called Toastbeard. Toastbeard still goes on now if you go on My Little Remix or look it up. It's a thing, little competition thing run by Sai, where he basically gives you criteria or a challenge and you've got to meet it in a week. So the challenge for this one specifically was a wrap-up of another season. So we've already had winter wrap-up, so what about summer and autumn and stuff? What did they do to wrap up them? So I did autumn wrap-up, but I did a really silly one. Whereas a documentary I did all David Attenborough style, the ponies in their natural habitat, that type of thing, and basically followed the story of Twilight Sparkle and Spike, with Spike oogling over Rarity. All the voices were given by me and all of them sound exactly the same except for Bonbon. Then there was Rarity with Tourette's, except the Tourette's was more with Darling than swears. Then Lara and Bonbon, where Bonbon actually sounded like the Cookie Monster and was more manly. Then the Apple Family, where Bonbon came and ate Apple Bloom and then had a gunfight with the police force of Ponyville. So yeah, that's basically how Autumn Wrap-Up went down. The piece has gone from my SoundCloud because it was just weird. But the music itself, as you're listening to now, survived. And that's what you listen to now, and that's what you listen to in the other video as well. There's a download in, I'll put it in this vid, but there's also in the previous vid as well. Anyway, other questions. For one by Surlisa, which is, I so much enjoy your music. You're really fantastic at it. I'm honestly surprised you haven't gotten any money for it. Congrats on the 2,000 subs. My question is, what is the all-time favourite piece you've written? Honestly surprised you haven't got any money for it. I don't even know what to say to that really, because I don't know. I just don't. I already earn quite a bit of money because not only do I do uni, but I also work a hell of a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I'll think about that. But anyway, all-time favorite piece you've written, pony or non-pony? Because if it's just in general, I love my uni pieces. So if you look at my videos, there's one called Point to Moray and Compass Iron for solo cello. Those two I love, just because I spent ages writing them. Blood, sweat and tears were poured into it, and they sound really cool. And it's what I love to write. So there's also a string sextet which I've written called Rorschach, which it won't be performed for a while, but it's a very difficult piece, and it took me like 4 months to write, which is a long time. So, but it should sound awesome. Anyway, those would be my favourite pieces. But if we're talking pony based, either I'm Tardy, because I just love I'm Tardy. It sounds so much fun to write, to listen to, and it was fun to write. I mean, the piece is in 13/16. And the opening chord's augmented F, but it just goes through atonal stuff after that, but it just sounds so fun, which is what I like about it. Or the other one would be Metroid Prime, purely because even though the audio logs are really annoying to do, they were also quite fun to do. And it was an experimental piece, and I enjoy experimental stuff. I enjoy experimenting with music, so yeah. That's the answer to that one. Raven's Dagger, who I actually recognise the name constantly because he, she, or it is constantly commenting on all the pony music. So a good shout out to Raven's Dagger for doing that. Anyway, its question is, are you going to continue the steampunk ponies thing? Yes, of course. I still have other pony pieces to steampunk, so there's still steampunk pony pieces to do. Obviously, they won't come out as quickly as they were back in the good old days of art of the industry, because that was more inspiration based, whereas nowadays it's more let's practice my orchestration. Because one, I need to practice my orchestration, and two, you know, it yields some good results. So yes, but not as quick as it would be normally. Senator Myth, you should make spectral music for the generic project. I'm shaking my head. Spectral music is so hard to write. I'll give it a think. Next question would be, I believe it's Agent of Discords, yes. Agent of Discords, which is, do you ever think of trying to fuse genres? Good question. I'm sure all of you have noticed that I actually did an electronic piece recently, which was a remix of Stormwolf's Shadow of a Flower. So I have been looking into other genres, and there was one which I was considering, but I think it was Space Anomaly. I'm hoping it was Space Anomaly. It might have been Captain Fluffton. Whoever it was on Skype said, why don't you fuse electronic and steampunk? And I was like, that's not a bad idea. Could be cyberpunk. You know, so there's an idea. Don't know whether it'll come to fruition, but there you go. Second question from Agent of Discord is, who the hell is your profile pic? Lol. Well, the profile pic is actually God. Specifically from a book called The Last Testament, The Memoirs of God. It's a very, very funny book. Probably very blasphemous, but it's how I'd assume God would be if if he was real. No. Yeah, it's how I assume God would actually be, you know, laid back, actually just reflecting on everything, and just has a really good sense of humour, which is what I loved about that book. So really good book to have a look at. Lots of things involving how my voice is amazing. Oh yeah. Leo Empire says, do you have any plans for a steampunk remix of the Flim Flam Brothers song? It's on the list, but not very high up, because usually with steampunk things it involves me actually picking out the melody, harmony, etc. by ear, or finding an existing MIDI or arrangement and going from there. For example, Art of the Industry, I actually found a piano arrangement on everyponysings.com and went from there, whereas at the gala I actually picked it out by ear, spent a good couple of days picking it out by ear, and then finding that a friend of mine called Vafras Coyote or Vessel Orion had actually done that a year ago, and I was like, ah. But anyway, the Flim Flam Brothers song would be very difficult to pick out by ear because it's not a predictable song. At the gala and stuff, it has chord progressions that I could predict. It's like 1 of 5. Let's guess what number next one is. Oh, it's 4, so what a surprise. Whereas the Flim Flam Brothers song actually has a lot of chromatic parts in it. And it's not jazz, but it's got jazz elements in it. So that would actually make it quite difficult to pick out, listening wise. So yes, at some point, just not anytime soon. Death is Near 2424 asks, why choose music over other things like fanfics or drawing? Is it an inborn talent with musical, or are you inspired by a musician? Well, I obviously have a decent amount of musical training, so there's that. I like to think I have talent. I assume I do, because, you know, people seem to like the work, so it's all good. Fanfics or drawing. I used to draw when I was a young kid, but I don't anymore. I just figure it's too hard. I'm left-handed. I wobble all over the place, you know. Fanfics, I do write a lot, and believe it or not, I have actually got a fanfic on Equestria Daily ages ago called Musical Dreams. It was more an accompaniment to my favourite piece, Church and Owen's Damn Sure and Hack you know, so it wasn't much of a story, but it was really well written apparently, so it got on there. But pony-wise, I'm not really bothered about fanfics that much, just because they don't really inspire me. Or ponies don't inspire me to write fanfics, I should say. Because obviously I've written a lot of music for Fallout Equestria, which is a total different beast in itself. Yeah, so I choose music because I'm good at it. Ponies tend to give me some inspiration involved, and yeah, it's fun. Mel Skunk asks, what training do you have musically speaking? Musically speaking, I have quite a lot of training. I used to live in England, so for most of high school, music was mandatory, which I'm totally cool with. And then when I came to Australia, I did music as a TEE, which is the equivalent of GCSEs in England, whatever they have in America, I don't know. Basically the end of high school stuff. And now I'm also studying music composition at university, so I get a lot of training from that, a lot of studying, a lot of one-on-one sessions with various composition lecturers, a lot of one-on-one sessions with instrumentalists, so on and so forth. So that's a lot of fun. And yeah, my music training is quite a lot. Licknan asks, any favourite hated slash classical... No, wait. Any favourite slash hated classical instruments? If I had a favourite classical instrument, I'd probably say the cello, just because it has such a big range and such a vast amount of extended techniques it can use and sounds you can produce. Similar thing with the horn. I like the horn because of that reason too. Hated classical instruments? Not really. If I really had to hate on one, I'd probably say the violins. Not because of the sound, but because every violinist I've worked with has always had problems with extended techniques. Not that they can't do them, it's more, extended techniques, ew. So that's more to do with the performers I know compared to the actual instrument. If I really had to hate an instrument, I'd probably say the ukulele or some other small string high-pitched instrument, just because I just don't like that twang sound. And I suppose it's because I've been playing guitar for like 11-12 years now, which is the man's ukulele, so you know. Next question, there's one from Paradoxador about music theory, but I've already answered that. Another one from Senator Myth about music theory again, specifically Messiaen's modes of limited transposition. Senator Myth. Love you and all, but always trying to... Well, no, you weren't trying to catch me out. It was a very legitimate question. But I think I answered it very well, so yeah. What do you say to that? Sake Charmer says, so, how about a little tea party, good sir? Of course, I'd love a tea party, but you've got to remember that I'm an Englishman in Australia. So if we're using teapots, teacups, we've got to have beer in them. No dice with the tea party if there isn't beer in the teapot. Or a beer pot, or whatever you're going to call it. Mr. Bob, numbers, says, are you going to Supernova in Brisbane? No, not particularly. One, because it's, well, when I checked it said 9th to 11th of November, which is slap bang when exams are during semester 2 of university, so probably not. But also because, I don't know, it doesn't seem like a worthy venture to go to Brisbane. No offence, of course, to Brisbane. I do live in Perth, which is like a crap hole. But, you know, if you're in Perth, I occasionally do go to various conventions there. I've been to YCon a few times. Not this year, unfortunately, because I was in Melbourne at the time. But, yeah. Check out Perth. And final question, which is probably my favourite question actually, AKJK1212, says, you watch a show about pastel-coloured ponies who extol the values of friendship and harmony. Why does this inspire you to make such dark, eerie music? Very good question. 3 reasons for that. And it took me a while to actually get these reasons. Number 1 is I like writing dark, eerie music anyway. I'm very passionate about dissonance, hence my name, Dr. Dissonance. But like the relationship between frequencies, harmonies, melodies, everything that just gives such a dissonant sound, I'm just fascinated with how that works. Hence why I'm being a composer, a more experimental composer, because I just love finding out how that works. So my music is dark and eerie in general. Second reason is the community. If you actually look around the Brony community, there's a fair bit of grimdark involved. There's a fair bit of grimdark fics. I mean, Fallout Equestria is probably the most popular fanfic, and it's a grimdark. There's a lot of grimdark pictures and a lot of grimdark music that's not mine. So, you know, any of them inspire me to write music. So if they do, so be it. The third reason is, well, the show itself. I don't tend to overthink the show. It's a show about ponies. I mean, why would you overthink it? But if you do, all the ponies have issues. It's like, well, take Lesson Zero for example. Twilight was like ridiculously scary then. I mean, I feared for the Kudamite Crusaders' lives when she came in with her doll and her get in my van look about her, which is, you know, slightly scary, or terrifying I should say. So the show itself actually has some underlying grimdark themes which probably aren't intentional, but they're there nonetheless. So there are your three answers. 1, my music's dark anyway. 2, the community actually has a fair bit of grimdark in it. And number 3, the show has dark undertones, overtones. And that's why I write dark eerie music for ponies. So that's all the questions that were asked. I was half expecting the what software do you use question, but that never came up. So what's about the future for my music? Well, obviously university's coming up, which means I'm going to have to spend a lot more time on that than on pony music, so you'll probably see a little less, but I'm not going away, of course. There'll still be some popping up here and there. Steampunk, obviously. Depending on what happens on this episode coming up depends on what's released. Nudge nudge, wink wink. There's also the whole idea of the genre fusion cyberpunk. There's Balloon Party. Get on that stuff. Balloon Party is going to be awesome. Not only am I doing the teaser thing, I'm also doing a collab with Extrav, another gifted orchestral composer, so that'll be fun. And then other stuff dotted around all over the place. There's a couple of other projects which I'm not liable to talk about, unfortunately, but yeah, that'll be fun. Anyway, hope you enjoyed listening to me waffle on. Hope you had a nice Valentine's, and enjoy your time now.